to note, if you are a regular to our webinars, we are now trying a different format slightly, so you can see both of us in the same room. So if there's any issues with that, please let us know. The best way to provide some feedback is to fill in the feedback form we'll be sending out after the webinar or near the end of it. I should probably look into the camera. Hi. So let's start. I see the number of participants isn't increasing anymore, so I suppose we have everyone who's supposed to be around. So good morning, everyone. Again, welcome to another Regardis webinar. My name is Stano Gajdos, and today we are going to be unpacking the packaging and packaging waste regulations. And with me, I have Jana Trubicina, our regulatory queen. Welcome, Jana.
Thank you. Hi.
Jana is the regulatory specialist here. I am the communications manager or marketing person at Regardis. From this webinar, our most common question at each webinar is, will this webinar be recorded and will the slides be provided? So it's a double yes to this question. The recording will both be distributed to you as participants and also available on our YouTube later. And the slides in PDF format will also be readily available to you. This webinar features an open discussion. You are very welcome to join it. We will be very happy if you participate live, but you are also welcome to use the Q&A section. I wouldn't recommend posting questions in chat because chat can run up and we can miss some. And what we try to do, and we are very slow with this, but we are persistent, is putting together all the questions from each webinar and creating a Q&A sheet and then distribute it later. The regulars amongst you probably know that this is actually taking multiple weeks to complete, so please be patient with that, but we try to provide. You may have met us at different webinars. This slide is only to a reminder that we are actually on YouTube, so if you give us a subscribe or something like that, that's always good. Anyway, let's move on. If you need any help with anything chemical regulatory related, we are here. Either reach CLP, only representative services, or anything else, just hit us up. I think we are very open. And now I will give word to Jana, my friend. So Jana, it's time for you to go. We might have a little technical break, like 10-15 seconds before we figure sounds and stuff, but I think we're ready to go.
So good morning to everyone. I'm glad to see you all here, and I hope that this webinar will be useful for you. Today we are going to talk about PPWR, which is Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation that will soon supplement the directive with the basically same name. Since we do not have very much time, it will be more general webinar where we will talk about some basic terms, basic obligations. But if you will be interested in future, of course, we are more than happy to make it in more details. So what we are going to talk about today is the Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, which amends also regulation on market surveillance and compliance with products, and it is repealing the directive on packaging and packaging waste. This regulation is already in force. It is in force from February 11th, 2025, but the directive on packaging and packaging waste, some of its parts are still in force, and it will be fully repealed in 2026. So what happens when the regulation replaces a directive? Formally, the directive is cancelled, and the new regulation is now directly applicable for all the European member states on a specified date. And the rules are the same as in all European countries, EU countries. However, some member states can also have some national laws and national requirements. but the regulation has the supremacy over the national laws. And member states can still choose to maintain or introduce the national requirements to the regulation, but those requirements cannot be in conflict with the requirements laid down to this regulation. The packaging which is compliant with PPWR cannot be prohibited or restricted to be placed on the market for reasons of non-compliance with national requirements. So it means that any member state cannot not allow to place the packaging on the market if it is compliant with PPWR. Also, it is important to say that if you are placing, if you're not placing on the market your packaging, but you are showing it on trade shows and exhibitions, and you can still do it. So it means that it can be not compliant with PPWR, but this non-compliance
should be clearly indicated. All right. So coming back to trade shows and the exhibitions, if the packaging is not compliant with PPWR, then you should clearly indicate this non-compliance and that this unit is not for sale until it is brought to conformity. Yeah, I hear myself.
Can take a little.
Okay. Yeah, I think it will take us some time to get used to all the sound systems. All right. So, as I said, the directive is will be repealed with effect from 12th of August 2026, and there will be certain exemptions. Here it is just for your reference that some articles or some points of articles can still stay in force. We can talk about it more on the next webinar, which will be more detailed because we don't have that much time today. When studying this regulation, first, what I advise you to do is go through definitions because it will help you to define your packaging, your role in supply chain, and also some other processes and responsibilities. PPWR has a lot of different definitions. It defines different part of packaging, like, for example, single-use packaging or packaging from primary production, the transport packaging, takeaway packaging, and for some of it, you need sometimes to do some, let's say, detective job because some definitions are overtaken from other regulations or directives. So you also need to open another document and search for the definition. For example, there are here just some definitions which were overtaken from other regulations or directives. So here is where you can search for it so you understand completely what is it about. And as for packaging, you also can consult Annex 1 of the PPWR, where there are examples of items that are packaging or that are not packaging, or some of packaging can be under some other regulation. Also, it is important to define substances because there are substances of concern which we will be talking about in context of PPWR. And when you see it, it's not the substances of very high concern, for example, or you can find this definition in Article 3 of PPWR, where it refers us to another regulation, and there we can actually find the full list of the criteria for substances of concern which are applicable under the PPWR. So these are substances that meet criteria of Article 57 of REACH, are classified in Part 3 of Annex 6 of CLP, regulated under the the POPs regulation, or it negatively affects the reuse or recycling of materials in the product in which it is present. So basically in packaging and packaging waste regulation, the substances of concern are not only substances that are classified as hazardous, as for example, hazardous for health or for environment, but also regulated under other regulation or have the negative effects on reuse and recycling of materials. And because, for example, it negatively affects it. It contaminates, the substances contaminate the packaging, the material. And also we've got one question about the PFAS definition, and it is true that there are many definitions of PFAS in different regulations or by different authorities. Like, for example, in OECD, you can find one definition, ECA, EFSA. Then, for example, if we're talking about United States, there is completely different, not completely, but definition with the different details. So it is good to go through this definition that you can find in the regulation. And what is next in our agenda? We are going to talk about sustainability requirements, which are requirements that the packaging should be compliant with when it's placed on the market. We will briefly touch labeling marking of the packaging, and we will talk about obligations in the supply chain. I would like to tell you more about the packaging register. This is the register for producers of packaging. However, it has not been set yet, so there is not a lot of information that we can share. What we know is that there will be a register where the producers will have to notify their packagings. And also the non-compliance, we also would like to tell you more. However, sanctions are not yet known. The only thing that we can say now is that if your packaging is not compliant and no corrective measures were taken, it can happen that you will be restricted on placing it on the market. All right, so the chapter of these regulations, which is called sustainability requirements, it sets the criteria for substances in packaging, recyclability of the packaging, minimum recycled content in plastic packaging. Also, there is bio-based feedstock in plastic packaging and compostable packaging, and minimization of the packaging and reusability. I'm just noticing that I'm saying the word packaging too many times. All right, so let's talk about the substances. SOCS is basically substances of concern here. So if there is those substances present in the packaging material, this presence and concentrations should be minimized, including the emissions, including the waste management, and the materials for final disposal. And it shall be monitored by the Commission. And by the end of December 2026, it should be followed by follow-up measures, such as adopting the new restrictions under Article 68 of REACH for substances which have negative effect on human health and environment. And also, maybe some restrictions will be adopted as a part of the recycling criteria design under Article 6 of these regulations, which we are talking about, and we will talk about Article 6 in 1 or 2 slides. So important note here is the substances that are negatively affect the reuse and recycling of the packaging materials may be restricted for other reasons that is related to the chemical safety. So maybe this substance is not classified as hazardous for health or for environment, but since it affects really negatively affects the recycling, it can be restricted for using in the packaging. In food packaging, there is a separate legislation for food contact materials. However, under the PPWR, there are also mentioning about this kind of packaging. There are limits for PFAS concentrations, which are set. You can find it in Article 5.5, and it is going to be evaluated by the Commission by August 2030. So there is a chance that they will manage it to avoid the overlaps with PFAS restrictions or prohibitions within REACH and POPs and the food contact material regulations. So now we are coming to Article 6, which is the recyclable packaging, which is conditions for recyclable packaging. So you need to design the material for recycling, and the secondary raw materials should have the sufficient quality when you compare it with original materials. So it can be used to substitute the primary raw material. At the waste stage, the packaging can be collected separately and sorted into specific waste streams without affecting the recyclability of other waste streams. And you can also see on these slides the timelines for some of processes. So far, what we can do is we can just follow the development of it. For certain type of packaging, this article is not applicable, which is contact-sensitive packaging for medical devices or in vitro diagnostics of medical devices, and also dangerous good packaging. This is because it is covered already by other regulations, and to avoid the overlaps, it is not applicable here. Also, there is lightweight wood or cork or textile, rubber, ceramic, porcelain or wax. So this is covered in PPWR, but under another article. The criteria for recycling design, the recyclability, performance grades, and recyclability performance assessment and results are not yet set. It is to be established in the delegated act, which should be adopted by January 28th, 2028. So what can we do is wait until this act is adopted. Then the economic operators will have to comply with the new criteria, but there will be 3 years of the from the date of entry in force of this delegated act. So everyone will be given some transitional period when you can redesign your packaging and be able to comply with the new criteria. Also, by 1st of January of 2030, the Commission should implement the acts with methodology for recycled at scale assessment, which should be based on quantities of recycled packaging waste and quantities of packaging per packaging category. There is Annex 2 of PPWR, which defines the packaging categories and which kind of packaging is included. Also, the procedure of documentation and verification of evidences that packaging is recycled at scale should be defined. For the minimum recycled content in plastic packaging, there is Article 7. And also there are goals which are already set. And as you can see on the slide, the implementation is planned for 1st of January 2030, or 3 years after implementation act that will come into force. So it is always the date, whichever is the latest, is applicable here. And another goal is to increase the recycled content to from January 2040. The calculation methods are also covered already in the regulation, so it is something that should be checked, but there are still not enough information to fully understand how to design your packaging so it fully complies. You can see here also some examples with the goal of percentage of the minimum recycled content. So for single-use beverage bottles, plastic bottles, it is 30% after 2030, and then it's 65 after 2040. Then there are contact-sensitive packaging, which can be from PET or from some other materials. So there are different goals set, and then there is all other packaging. All right. So it is, of course, also the goal to minimize the packaging, the volume, the weight of the packaging, and you can consult Annex 4 for methodology for packaging minimization assessment. There should be standardization procedures and harmonized standards. There should be methodology for calculation and measurement of compliance. And this is going to be done by the standardization organizations. It should be requested by 2027, which is quite soon already. Also, how to demonstrate the compliance, the technical documentation will be needed, and which will include technical specifications, standards, and conditions, the design requirements, and any test results, studies, modeling and simulations, and probably a lot of other details. So the packaging that is placed on the market should be reusable, and this is already in force from the date of entry in force of this regulation, so from February 11th, 2025. It means that the packaging that is placed to the market should be designed with the objective of being reused multiple times. So it means that it can be emptied, fully emptied, or refilled, reloaded without any damage, without any changes that will prevent the functions and reuse, and without the risk and safety. And also all the packaging when it's recycled, can be recycled, when it can become waste. It should be recyclable. However, so far there is the minimum contact of recycled material is not set. As I was talking about just a couple minutes ago, these percentages are applicable from 2030. Also, by 2027, the delegated act is to be adopted to supplement the information on minimum number of rotations of the reusable packaging, taking in account, of course, not only risk to health and safety, not only the fact that it can be emptied or refilled, but also the hygiene and other requirements such as logistics. All right, and now we are coming to labeling, marking, and information requirements from 2028 or 24 months after the date of and reinforce the implemented acts. Again, whichever is the latest. The packaging will have to comply with such requirements as harmonized label. There should be the information on the material composition, so it can facilitate the consumer sorting. Also, it should be based on pictograms and be easily understandable, and also understandable for persons with disabilities. So, for example, probably there will be some tactile signs also set. If the packaging contains substances of concern, it should be marked. We were talking about it, that it's not only substances that have any health or environment risks, but also the substances that can negatively affect the recycling of the packaging. The information can also be placed with a QR code on some other type of data carrier, but to be honest, we'll also discussing it with my colleagues after the CLP regulation update, and we don't know what is the other data carrier. I think it will be only QR code. And also packaging that is subject to deposit and return system and reusable package will have their additional marking. The member states shall ensure the harmonized labels to enable the separation of waste or of materials to the specific fractions. This should be set till 28th of August, 12th August 2028. And again, we are here talking about the implementing acts that have to be adopted, but not adopted yet. But here we have, it seems to be closer in 2026. And now we are moving to obligations. So in general, every member of the supply chain should be checking if the packaging is compliant with the requirements. So manufacturers can place packaging to the market only the one that is compliant with the regulation. There are articles which you can consult for compliance assessment, and also there will be the EU declaration of the conformity. And the documentation should be kept for 5 years for the packaging that is for single use, and then for reusable packaging, it is 10 years that this documentation and evidences should be kept. Also on the packaging, there should be identification of the manufacturer and of the packaging itself. So it can be type number or batch number, serial number, or some other element, and QR code with identification of the manufacturer. Of course, all the information that is provided via QR code should be easily accessible without any registration, and with collecting minimum information of the visitor of the page, so it is easily accessible for everyone. Obligation of suppliers of packaging and packaging materials. They need to demonstrate the information that they were provided by the manufacturer, that the packaging is in conformity with the regulation. This also includes the documentation on the conformity assessment procedure, and I think there will be some kind of declarations that the manufacturer will issue. Also, there is an authorized representative role, which is basically some company that you can appoint to represent you and to make sure that you are compliant with PPWR. And obligation here is to be able to demonstrate the conformity and, of course, to cooperate with national competent authorities on their request and be able to provide all the necessary documentation. Also, there is the requirement to keep the documentation. It is the same. And then the importers, it means that if you are the first company, first person in the EU who imports the packaging from a non-EU country, you should ensure that the conformity assessment is provided by the manufacturer, that the packaging is labeled, and that it is accompanied by the required documentation. And you also need to have the identification of the manufacturer available. Also, the importer must provide their information, including the postal address, and keep a copy of EU Declaration of Conformity. Here, the date, the time that you need to keep this declaration is the same as for other documentation. And of course, again, you must be able to demonstrate all these compliance and conformity to the competent authority according by their request. So as you can see, the obligations are so far quite similar. Someone should make sure that the packaging is compliant, and then all the members of the supply chain must also check it and take the corrective measures if there are any non-compliance with the regulation. Of course, you can always go up the supply chain and tell your supplier, there is a problem. We need to fix it. All right. So how to meet the requirements and prove it? You must follow the instructions of the regulation of the annexes. Consult the annexes because they contain a lot of useful information. You need to collect technical documentation. Also, I would say you need to collect the evidences of your communication with the suppliers and follow the news, follow the development of this regulation and implementing acts, and stay informed. So thank you for your attention, and I will give a word to Stano, and we will see if there are any questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Anna, for an amazing presentation. I will switch to the spotlight so the recording doesn't mess up the way this is used. First of all, before I load my screen, I would like to remind everyone that we would like to prioritize live questions, meaning questions which are asked using your microphone. I know that at the moment you aren't allowed to turn them on, but that's just due to the sheer number of people here. If everyone was talking, we wouldn't hear anything. So if you would like to ask live, please raise your hand. That will bump you up in the list. I can see you, and then I can allow you to turn on your microphone. Before anyone maybe is hesitating, I will go through some of the questions in the Q&A section. And even before I do that, let me just check that you can hear me well, and you can see our screen, and you can see both of us, and you can hear both of us. Anna, can you please try?
Yes, sure. Seems to be
yes, times
good.
4. Okay, perfect. So
Thank you.
let's dive into the Q&A section. So at the moment, I don't see anyone raising their hand. So let's move to the first Q&A question. I believe Heather asked, how does this, I'm assuming PPWR, apply to pails, drums, and totes of chemical substances imported into EU by us and sold to EU customers? I just realized this isn't a Q&A question. My apologies, but we've already asked it. This comes from registrations. Jana.
Okay, I actually understood that it will be from some questions that we have received, but yeah, okay. So if there are, I will answer that gladly, and if there will be more questions from Q&A, let's put it. All right, yeah. So how does PPWR apply to pails, drums, and totes? And of chemical substances imported to the EU. So PPWR, all packaging is covered by this regulation, and it includes the packaging like bulk containers and drums and totes. And pails. The companies that are importing to the EU are responsible for this packaging. So it should be in compliance, and it should be by 2030. It should be also recyclable and designed for easy collection and be reusable. Also. It should be labeled to identify the waste streams. So I would say that as the importer, you have the responsibility to make sure that it's compliant with the regulation. Yeah.
Okay.
Hope I answered your question. Hope I understood it well.
Let's move to another one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we are. Let's just do one quick Q&A. So I hold my word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Monica actually asked, I think, 5 questions at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for all your inputs, Monica. So Spain, France, and Italy have their own national requirements for recycling marking on packaging that came in force before PPWR. Once PPWR came in force and these requirements are in conflict with PPWR, can these be enforced by Spain, France, or Spanish, French, or Italian authorities and fine companies who do not fulfill these national regulations? So basically, this means like what comes first?
The thing is that, as I was mentioning, this PPWR is the, let's say, it comes first. So there are any authority cannot reject your packaging to be placed on the market if it is compliant with PPWR. But here, yeah, I would say there is some conflict that probably you will have to prove this to the authorities, showing them the article from the regulation where it is clearly said that the national authorities cannot like you can't place this packaging on the market even if it is if it is compliant with PPWR, and the national national requirements should not be in the conflict with PPWR. So I think that it will have to be changed by the Spain and France and Italian authorities. So it is not in conflict. Yeah, I was trying to take the whole questions, and I hope it was understandable, my answer.
Feel free to follow up in chat.
Yeah, please.
We should be able to respond now. So let's move to another thing which came to registrations, and we can then continue in order. I'm sorry for this mess up. So Giuseppe asked, have recycling rates been defined? How to take that into account when designing new packaging in 2025 for the long term?
Yeah. So recycling rates will be defined under the PPWR, but so far they were not. So the timeline is by the January 2030, if I'm not mistaken. And according to the information that we gathered, there would be A to C criteria for recyclability, and where A is the highest and C is the lowest, and it is not yet defined, so we don't know. And of course, I understand that for manufacturers, for producers, it's very very complicated, because you have to think in advance how to design your packaging. So there are just some things that you can consider when designing it. If it is possible, you can use one type of material, so it is easier to recycle. And also, I would prioritize to use the materials that are commonly recyclable. Like, for example, if we're talking about polymers, it can be PET, HDPE, or PP. And if you have some polymers that are not so common, probably there will be some problems in future with recycling it. Also, what is good to consider is to if you have the packaging which consists of different materials, if possible, to make these different materials parts easily separable, so you can just put it into two different waste streams. Also, be careful about colors and additives, because some colors, like for example black, are problematic for the sorting systems. However, I have already heard or read about the system that is able to take the black pigment out. However, it is just some complication and just some increasement of financing this. Yeah, and also this product should be you should be able to fully empty the product from the packaging. So this is something that you have to already consider for when designing the packaging.
That was an exhaustive answer. Thank you, Anna. We still have a quarter of an hour left, so kind of reminder, if you want to input your questions to the Q&A, go ahead. If you change your mind and want to speak up, just raise your hands. I'm sure it will be fruitful. Let's move to another question by Balint, who asked, will the environmental product fees or environmental burden tax of a product significantly increase due to this regulation?
We cannot say 100% yet, of course, but I would say yes, because the producers will have to invest now to set the new designs for the products, to change something, to look for the new material. So probably it will be the first increasement of the investment of producers themselves. But also, according to what we know so far, the fees will be maybe higher for the products that are not so sustainable or so recyclable. So the more you comply with the regulation, the more sustainable is the packaging, the lower fees will be applicable. Most probably, most likely.
I see. Okay, so we are moving to questions which were asked by people here. Oh, Monica, you already have. I put all Monica's questions in a row, but since she's asking about substances of concern, I think we will probably do some zigzagging here.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one. So substances of concern. Are there set limit values for SOC defined by classification codes and categories according to CLP regulation for packaging materials, or value limits allowed to be present these substances in packaging materials?
The answer here will be short. It is yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, especially for PFAS, it is already in the regulation. But also it is, I think, applicable from 2030.
I see. Thank you. Very nice change of pace here. Let's move to another one. So since this one was short, let's continue with Monica. Hi, Monica. Is there a free available list of substances that negatively affect the reuse and recycling? If not, who will be responsible for creation of this, and when we can expect this release?
So there is no such a list. For example, if we're talking about substances of concern in general, yes, there are, according to REACH and CLP, there are you can find maybe this kind of list, but this information is yet to be found out, and basically, just let me go back to, I don't want to share maybe screen. We don't want to switch it. But there will be some report by the commission, and they will see, according to some reports from the industry, which substances are problematic. Or we already know, for example, that there are, as I was saying, some pigments. So maybe this will be something that negatively affects the reuse and recycling. But it was not yet said in which percentage or how to measure this negative effect, how negative it should be.
Let's move to another substance of concern question by Tom. So Tom asked, can you give some example of a SOC that will need to be reported on under Article 5? Which economic operators will need to report on this?
Yeah, you will basically have to mark it. You will place it on the packaging, on the label of the packaging, and the example is example. Sorry. Yeah. Well, you can consult for it the Article 57 of REACH, and also the classification and labeling of packaging and packaging regulation. So any substance that is there is basically the substance of concern, the problematic one.
Thank you.
It's basically, it's substances. Sorry, I will just add that it's like carcinogenic or mutagenic, toxic for reproduction. If you have this kind of classification, then it's for sure it.
Okay. Janet asked, food packaging. Is that only packaging containing food, or can it also be, for instance, a plastic bag used for sous-vide applications?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is it so? Can you please elaborate? What do you mean by the?
The sous-vide is a way of preparing meat.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
If I understand the question correctly, Janet is asking. So Janet, please elaborate if we are butchering it. If this food packaging contains only packaging containing food in general in distribution, or it can be packaging used for food preparation. So basically not what the product comes in with, but something that you use for preparing.
Okay. I'm not sure. This is quite a specific question. So maybe we will need to check it and then send you the answer in Q&A. But I'm pretty sure that we can find this answer in the regulation. So yeah, if you please wait until we send out the Q&A report.
Yes, I believe this is.
But I think that yes, because it's also packaging.
Marta answered in chat, actually, chimes in. Thank you, Marta. 10/2011 defines it, so yes, it is a food contact application.
Thank you, Marta.
Thank you very much. I am quickly pasting something to the presentation so I can show you as well. Okay, so let's move from Janet to, again, Monica. Controls, there we go. No, this is the correct one. So Monica asked, will information about SOCs exceeding limits have to be included in the digital product passports according to regulation on eco-design?
I think the information about its concentration will have to be included there. But here I can just speculate so far, as we don't know for sure. But for sure there will be some limits set, and I'm quite sure that the concentration will have to report it somehow there. But yeah, just speculating.
Another question in the Q&A from Alvaro. Aren't recycling rates defined in Table 3 of Annex 2?
Yes. This is true that there are the recycling rates. However, all the methodology is not yet it's not yet enforced, and it's going to be clarified after the implemented act is in force.
And a question is by Irena. Under EPR, which EU countries already implemented accumulation bonuses, like France?
Okay, I'm not sure about that. So that is something that we will need to check. So we can probably also include it to the Q&A report.
Yes, so let's skip this one for now. And then Bart asked initially in chat. I didn't have the the capacity to.
That's okay.
Inserting it in Q&A, but you are putting it again in Q&A, Bart. So thank you for being thorough. Are labeling requirements different for back to B than
business to business or
and
business to consumer? Okay, now we are getting more questions that unfortunately I'm not able to answer right away. I would say in general, there will be the common things that you have to label, you have to put on the label, but probably for consumers there will be some additional information also.
Quick second to fast paste so I can show the other one. Irina coming back with another question. Oops, there you go. Do you expect further plastic taxation in EU countries after Spain, Italy, and the UK? So I believe this is a bit of a hypothetical one.
Okay, how next time I can ask you not to put these questions that I'm afraid I cannot answer. Yeah, sorry. Here, I would wait for the development. Probably yes. Probably if the packaging will not be not in compliant, but will be not that well recyclable, well reusable for this kind of packaging, for this kind of plastic. I expect some maybe some fees, I would say.
With 4 minutes left in the webinar, I think we are nearing the last question by Angela. Are mineral oils considered substances that prevent recyclability?
That's a good question. I would say it has some effect, so I would say yes.
Okay, that was a quick one. Irina also chimes in under AGEC law. Yes. So thanks, Irina. France. Thank you everyone for being so responsive and so interactive. We appreciate it a lot and would really like these webinars to be this ground, this platform to talk. At this moment, we are really nearing the end of our time slot. But since we have 3 minutes and one question popped up now, also Angela follows up in chat. So I'm guessing this is targeted to Irina. But Angela asked if this would be for printing inks.
I think that printing inks. Okay, Irina just answered yes. Thank you. Yeah, it's the same. It is hard to remove it. So yeah.
I would like to use this opportunity also to invite you to our webinars as panelists in the future. So if you ever feel like you would like to chime in, you would like to use this platform to maybe talk as well to promote the discussion further, you are very welcome. And the last question by Peris, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. How do we actually measure the recyclability of the material? The methodology.
The methodology itself have not been set yet under the PPWR. However, there are already companies that are solving this under some other requirements. So I think there are already methodologies and tests which are already there.
Thank you, Alvaro, for an exhaustive answer. So we are really nearing the end. I think I've already said this multiple times, but now we'll actually be saying goodbye. So again, thanks to everyone who participated here, especially those who were so active during the discussions and also responsive during our times of needs. I will link in chat link which collects a few. I'll pass it again. Just I can maybe pass it 3 times to spam you a little bit. You can just fill it in once. But this is a feedback form which helps us a lot. It's just 5 questions about like how do you like it? Is it everything all right? What future topics would you like to us to explore? It helps us a ton whenever some answer to these forms pops up.
Yeah, thank you very much for your questions. And we planned this webinar as really introductive, but if you would like to know more, let us know, and we can prepare some more specific topic webinar.
Yes, we really try to be people first and hidden faces behind the PCs second. So again, thank you, goodbye, and see you around at another one of our webinars.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.